So I am with bass legend Jeff Pilson, who you know from, goodness, where do I start? I'm going to start, from Dokken, Foreigner, Revolution Saints, The End Machine, Black Swan. What am I leaving? Am I leaving something out? Right,
DOMSG.
DOMSG. Oh my
I
God, that's right. You've done
MSG.
stints in so many bands. I mean, it's just crazy. And that's why I call you a legend. And you've always got something in the works that's
Mm-hmm.
quality, that's passionate to you, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not just something that you're just doing for what's and giggles.
Yeah. Right.
There's always something going on. I want to start by talking about, let's start by talking about the End Machine. And the band has evolved a little bit
Yes.
from the band that it actually started out to be. It was you and George and Wild Mick. And now you've got a new singer, uh,
Yep.
another singer. Wild Mick is,
Retired.
he's retired. How do you
Yeah.
say that when you go Wild Mick? Wild Mick is retired, but here's the caveat. We've got his brother in the band
Yeah.
now. So I'm watching the video and I'm like, are you sure that's not Mick?
I
Because
know.
he hits like Mick and he looks like Mick and his
He
facial expressions are like Mick. He's so Mick-like.
he plays like Mick. Yeah, I mean, when we were doing the videos, George and I were looking at each other, and we talked later about it. We were both thinking, this is spooky. He looks so much like Mick,
I thought
and
the
he
same thing.
feels so much like Mick to play with. I mean, it's amazing. It's the power of DNA, I guess, because he plays, sings, feels like Mick. He's even got Mick's, up personality.
The haircut,
The
it's like
hair.
it's just so Mick.
Yeah, but he is his own person, and he's a fabulous musician. He really is. He did a lot of studio work, especially in the 90s. So he's really great to work with. I mean,
Steve, by the way, Steve
yes,
Brown. Yeah.
mild Steve Brown.
Mild Steve Brown. Okay. So
But he's wonderful.
you also have this dynamite vocalist,
Yeah.
Garish, who I've been hearing like from people like in the industry and just like fans of heavy music and melodic music about this guy and his vocals, because this guy can sing. This guy can deliver a song. So
He
talk to
can,
me about how you found him.
well, he was brought to our attention by Serafino, who's the head of Frontiers Records, which is the Italian label that does most of these bands. And Serafino just said, listen to this guy. And when George and I did, we were like, holy crap. So the suggestion was made that we should try him out, and we did. And not only is he, I mean, yes, of course, he's an incredibly impressive singer. I mean, as a vocalist, you're not going to get much better than that. But he turned out to be a great writer as well, which was really valuable. So, it's kind of, I think it's part of his, uh, because our music was an influence to him, it was very natural to him to write for what George and I do. And it was just an incredible combination. Serafino's idea was brilliant. And it just, when he came in and it all worked and we heard what he was writing, and then we worked together and he collaborated great. He took suggestions great. And mind you, he's doing his vocals in India, which I normally don't like. I normally want to be there when the vocalist is singing. But through emails and Zoom and everything else, we were able to collaborate. He did rewrites on things, which is very difficult. But he would come through on the rewrites with, shining colors. So, I mean, the guy is just fabulous to work with. An amazing vocalist, great writer. We're very fortunate. I think he's brought the level of the End Machine up a notch, and we're just really excited about it.
And he seems like a good guy.
He is a good guy.
I've
He
seen like
really
some
is.
interviews with him and stuff, and he seems inherently like a nice person,
He
which is
is.
which is a very important part of a band dynamic, as you
Mhm.
know. I
Yes.
mean, because you came out of a giant 80s band, and that was a very, very tough time, especially when you're young and everything is being thrown at you, money and girls and booze and drugs and everything, to kind of keep your feet on the ground and be like, oh, this is pretty cool what's happening around us. No one was thinking that back then. And it's
No.
so difficult,
Right.
so you've got a good guy who's
Yeah.
in the band now, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think he really does understand the value, and he really does appreciate it. And you know, he knows he's good. He knows he has that ability, but he is really focused and he is down to earth. He's got a wife that I know he's crazy about, and you know, that tells you something about a person when you see how they deal with that situation. So I am yeah, I mean, band chemistry is, you know, the quality of a person is really important with band chemistry. And I'm fortunate. Everybody I collaborate with are really good people. And that's an evolution. You're right. The 80s, we weren't all good people.
Because
We
you're a
certainly
kid, you're just a kid, and you think that it's
you're just a
always going to be
kid
like
and
this. It's always going to, nothing's ever going to change. We're at the top of the world now, and you have a different appreciation, I think, as time goes on.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so that record is you know what I've heard is just dynamite, fantastic. It's very powerful. It's very dynamic. I also want to talk before we talk about Foreigner. I want to talk about Revolution Saints, which is a very different sound. Um,
Yeah.
which is so incredibly cool. It's you, Joel Hoekstra, Dean Castronovo. Um, and this is such also a great record, but a whole different direction.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, with Revolution Saints is beautiful because I get to just be the bass player, which is kind of cool. And the producer is Alessandro Del Vecchio, who I also work with, who mixes most of the projects I do for Frontiers, and is just an incredible musician producer on his own. So I trust Alessandro, and it's great to be in one of the situations where I get to just be the bass player and trust the producer. So that's great. But yeah, with Revolution Saints, the focus is Dean's voice, and Dean has just got this amazing voice, and,
Phenomenal,
you know,
phenomenal.
and it deserves to be a recognized voice on his own. But there's no question that there is a reminiscence of Steve Perry's voice in there. And so I don't mind when people say that we are like a heavy Journey,
Yeah,
because I think
no,
that's kind of
absolutely.
what we are. We are a heavy rock band. I mean, Dean and Joel and I are heavy rock musicians. I mean, we can be as heavy as anybody. But because we're focusing on Dean's voice, it is a different sound, and it is, there is a Journey quality to it. And I'm not afraid of or ashamed of that. I think it's actually great because I love Journey myself. And if it can be heavier, I love that even more. So I love the direction that Revolution Saints is in, and again, I think it's unique because I think Dean's voice is just an amazing voice that
That
needs
has to
to be
be
out there.
front and center.
Yeah,
It's melodic, it's beautiful. It gets right down, into your
it's
heart and
emotional.
everywhere else. It's very
Yeah,
emotional music.
yeah.
And
His
I
voice.
love
It's
the
his
fact.
voice. His voice.
Absolutely. His voice tells a story. He paints a picture,
Yeah,
he tells a story. He's got
it
that
really does.
beautiful I call it kind of like the rock romance voice where,
Hmm.
and look, Foreigner can be that band as
Sure.
well. you
Yeah.
know there are look, I'm a metalhead through and through, but when you give me Waiting for a Girl Like You,
Yeah.
like I will watch Footloose just to get to the scene where, and I'm like, oh, and I've heard it a million times, but those keyboards coming in the middle, and I'm just moved beyond, and I'm moved beyond every single time that I hear it.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah, there's just no way not to. All right, so now we'll move into a little bit of Foreigner talk. And you've been in the band
20
for
years.
20 years. Holy
Yeah, I know.
moly.
Time flies when
That's
you're old.
crazy. I mean, I knew you've been in Foreigner for a long time, but man, 20 years just rolls by.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It did indeed. Well, I mean, I'm fortunate. It's an amazing band with amazing people, and I really do love all the people in the band and management and the crew. I mean, it's a fabulous unit. It really is. It's like a machine, but it's a machine with a heart. And yes, and so here we are on our last year of 9 months of the year being out on the road. And that's a big deal for us. We're gonna still do some stuff in 2025, but it's gonna be select, won't be a long tour. And that's bittersweet because I love these people. I love this doing the shows. I love everything about it. But the traveling has gotten difficult, or just because of age. And I'm ready to be in here, this wonderful recording studio I have that's attached to my house. So um, I'm looking forward to having more time. But there's, this year of touring is going to be very intense. We have a great tour with Styx and John Waite coming in the summer. So I'm very fortunate to be part of this. There's still some music floating around that we're hoping we can finish in 2025 with Foreigner.
Ooh.
So, you know, I'm very fortunate to have this band. What can I say?
Yeah, we have a date, by the way, coming to New Jersey, PNC Bank Arts Center on July 23rd. So looking so forward to that. Oh, and I love John. Oh my God, John Wade as the
Yeah, his
opener.
voice.
Oh
I
my
think I
God.
think he really adds a cachet to this. I love the fact that he's the opener on this. I think it's going to be amazing.
Oh, when I hear those babies tunes, I fall over. I'm like a bug. Like I'm just like, oh my God, is this John Waite singing the babies? I mean, that's gonna be great. And then Sticks, and then you guys. Tremendous. I mean, absolutely tremendous that you've been in this legacy band that still sells out everywhere, which is so
Yeah.
cool. I
Oh,
mean, how do you not take
amazing.
advantage of that? But the best of both worlds, because you're still going to be able to do things with the band occasionally, just not all that grueling touring. And it's not even just age. I just think touring these days and traveling so much, it never gets easier. It only gets more difficult.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are those last shows gonna feel like? There's gonna be pretty emotional.
Yeah, I think it will be emotional. I mean, well, we don't know what the actual last shows are going to be. I think we know what the end of the year is like, and we're doing another. We're starting a residency in Vegas at the end of March and early April, which is very exciting. Which is going to be filmed for a live DVD, by the way. And then at the end of the year, we'll have another residency run, which I think is going to be amazing. That's how we're going to end of the year is on this residency, and that I'm really excited about because when we do these these residencies, they're just so much fun. I love being in one, for one thing, you're in one place for a while. And the room at the Venetian just sounds so good. So I'm just really excited about that. That's really going to be a great thing. And so this year's last shows, they're going to be emotional because we know it's the end of long touring, but it's not the end of the line, and there will be other shows. So they're just going to be more select. But this year, these Vegas residencies are going to be just really cool events.
Hey, yeah, that sounds fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I wanted to talk to you about this because I just think it's a pretty amazing thing to do. You kind of are like the musical trifecta. You've got your legacy band that you've been in for 20 years, the brotherhood of that, and going out and touring and coming, the band's going to get inducted more than likely into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, at some point, which is a big deal. Hopefully.
Well, let's
They
hope.
certainly deserve it. You had 20 years, with this band, so that's in this box. Then you also have music that you play with your other bands that you are able to play with George Lynch and Wild Mick when you were playing with him, and your friends like Reb Beach and Joel Hoekstra. So you've got that going on. And then you also have where you're recruiting new talent, like Garish, and you're part of that world too. This is that's a pretty big deal, where you, Jeff Pilson, can kind of look back and say, you know what, it's a nice time to be me.
Well, I mean, listen, don't think I take any of that for granted because I don't. And I think I think we did tend to, when we were younger, kind of, there was a sense of entitlement, that now that I look back we didn't deserve to have. Um, but no, I'm very, very grateful, and I'm very aware that I'm fortunate. I mean, listen, I work really hard too. It's not like I don't work hard, because I do.
You're
But
always working. Oh my gosh, you are always working, and you're super talented. So you deserve all of these things. But I mean, just to see them come, at this point in your life and your career is pretty magical.
it is very magical, and again, I'm very grateful for it. Because even though I work really hard, it is a labor of love. So, I'm fortunate. I get to work with these amazing people, make a lot of great music, and then tour and play in front of people, lots of people who are really excited to see a band. And it's a good life. It's a hardworking life, but it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. So what advice would you have for somebody? Because we talked a little before we started, Zooming officially with the recording about how the world just everything's changing so fast, so fast, so fast. And you see people coming up in the music business now, and you are a working musician.
Yeah.
That's, I think, and that should be the goal for everybody. You know, people always want to be a rock star, but a working musician, you know, you can sustain that for a really long time and always feel your passion and get your creative flow going and make a lot more choices. So what would you have as advice for a working musician?
Well, for one thing, you know, you got to be really passionate about this because especially now, getting started, you got to do a lot of it yourself, and you got to be dedicated, you got to be passionate about it. It kind of has to be that you have to do it, because I know I have to make music, otherwise I would wilt away. And so you have to be that passionate. I'm fortunate. I was in a band years ago where record companies would give you 3 records to give you a shot, you know, not one. They would support your tours. The infrastructure for building bands and building artists was so superior many years ago than to what it is now, because now it's a very formulaic corporate model. Very few people get the big push and and budgets and all that kind of thing. It's a whole different world. So most people have to do it themselves. So my advice is you got to be really passionate, you got to be really dedicated, and then listen to your instincts, because it's always good to listen to other people, solicit opinions, um, keep your eyes open to what's going on. All those things are good, but don't let it swerve the amazing guide that we have internally, that which is our gut feelings and our instincts, because those will not let you down if you really listen to them, follow them passionately. So those would be my 3 elements of advice.
I love that. I love that because every time I've not followed my gut, I've had it come back to bite me, you know where. And I always go, why didn't I listen to myself? Why didn't? Well, do you think that, you know, you're into meditation, you're into yoga? Do you think you have a clarity of mind for some things that you maybe didn't have because of that?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, meditation does slow the mind down, and it helps you focus on singular thoughts. That's kind of the objective.
Oh, I
And
need that. I need that. I absolutely need
uh,
that. And you have
come
these
to
internet.
come
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
hotforyogasc.com and sign up for the virtual meditation. We hold weekly meditation classes, and it's really fun. So
Yeah.
I
I
encourage
need
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would say it's helped me. I can't even calculate because I've been doing it a long time, but it has helped me immensely, not only to focus, but to feel healthier, and to get through, I mean, I'm a neurotic person. I mean, I'm an artist. Of course I'm neurotic, and of course I have a lot of issues and that kind of thing, and it's helped me deal with those things tremendously. So, yes, it's a big help.
Jeff, I adore you. I'm always so happy to talk to you. It's so
Oh,
funny because I got the little, you know, reminder you have Jeff today, and I was like, I know. I'm so excited to talk to him. He's always super sweet. There's just so much to talk about, and it's always just such a pleasure to catch up with you,
thank you.
and find out what you're up to because Lord knows the busiest man in rock and roll.
I hope so.
I love that. And I cannot wait to see you with Foreigner at the PNC Bank Arts Center on July 23rd. That's going to be phenomenal. The End Machine record is coming. That's also great. Don't forget
March 8th.
Revolution Saints.
March 8th.
And
March 8th.
you are working right now, I think, on the new. Are you guys working on the new Black Swan record? Is that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Reb was here a couple weeks ago, and we spent a week and we got 7 songs deep into the next Black Swan record. So just sent the first one to Robin last night. So yeah, looking forward to that. During the course of the year we'll be working on that. It's not going to come out till well into 2025, I'm sure, but I'm very excited about it, and I think it's going to be an amazing record.
Fantastic. So great to catch up with you, Jeff. All the
You
best.
too,
I am going to
Terrie.
see you in meditation. I'm telling you. I'm going to be
Okay.
there. I'm going to
All
be
right.
there.
All right. I
Love
will
you. Thank
I
you
look
so
forward to that.
much.
My pleasure. Thank you.